part of Jericho.
Okay. Maybe next time you will be able to take that tour. Okay. Jerusalem started, as said, during the Canaanite era. It was controlled by the Jebusians, who were a Canaanite people. The Canaanites, ladies and gentlemen, weren't a people. They were various peoples, but they shared the same civilization. That's why they were called the Canaanites. Okay? And the Jebusians controlled Jerusalem. In their time, Jerusalem was a small town. Around the year of 1010, King David became the ruler of the country, or at least this part of the country, because the Canaanites continued to prosper in other parts of the country. The Canaanites controlled mainly the lowland because their main source of income was agriculture. Okay, that's why they controlled the fertility area. That would be the lowland and the coastal plain. Okay, and the valleys such as the Jezreel Valley, the Ayalon Valley, and the Hula Valley. When the Israelites entered the country, they saw that they can't defeat the Canaanites in their cities. That's why they chose the empty part of the country to settle. That empty part was the mountains. Okay? After this brief, I want to tell you a story about Cain and Abel, but later. Remind me if I forgot.
Okay.
Now,
From Canaan.
Canaanites, this land was called the land of Canaan. Different from Cana of Galilee, yes. Listen, start connecting, meanwhile, while I'm telling you the brief, short history of Jerusalem, start connecting between the names Canaan and Cain and Abel and the Hebrews and stuff like this, okay? Later we will. Now, the Israelites entered the country. They controlled the mountainous area because it was empty, okay? They came to Jerusalem that is located on the mountains. It was a small town, not like the mighty towns, the mighty cities in the coastal plain or in the lowlands, such as Gezer, Megiddo, and stuff like this. It was only a small town. And according to the Bible, King David, who was announced a king of Israel, first declared his capital city in Hebron. Okay? But then, when he wanted to unite all the Israeli tribes under his leadership, he needed a neutral city. Okay? That's why he chose Jerusalem, because Jerusalem wasn't a part of any tribe's property. You know that. It was neutral. It didn't belong to any tribe. That's why he chose Jerusalem. And he came into Jerusalem using an underground tunnel. And you can read that in the Bible. He entered the city with some of his men. He chose the best fighters, the best soldiers, and he entered the city through a tunnel. Okay? And he went and he took the city over. Okay? Now, after he controlled the city, he built a surrounding wall. He fortified the city. It seems like he built a palace, and he built many public buildings. King Solomon enlarged the city. He built the temple. He built an extra part of the wall that fortified also the temple area, and that's how Jerusalem became a larger city than the days of David. After King Solomon, the kingdom was divided into two. It separated into two kingdoms: the northern kingdom or the kingdom of Israel, and the southern kingdom, which is the kingdom of Judea. The kingdom of Judea, Jerusalem stayed in the kingdom of Judea area. Okay, let me put the map for you to understand. The kingdom of Judea controlled this area, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Jerusalem and only this area. It was a small kingdom, while the kingdom of Israel became much stronger. It controlled all the northern area, and because it was closer to other countries and to other peoples and to other kingdoms, it formed alliances with the surrounding peoples. How did they make these alliances? And marriage and
Water.
worshipping their gods. It was easier to connect relations with the Phoenicians, for example, or the Arameans in Syria by worshipping their gods. That's why God poured his anger over the kingdom of Israel, and it was taken in the year of 722 by the Assyrians. When the Assyrians came to the Holy Land in order to conquer it, they took over the kingdom of Israel, or the northern kingdom, and they tried to take over Judea, the southern kingdom. They took over many cities. They demolished many cities in the kingdom of Judea, but they didn't succeed to take over Jerusalem. They put a siege over Jerusalem for several months, and it says in the Bible that God sent his anger over the troops of Assyria and killed 180,000 of its soldiers. Am I right? Do you remember that? Anyone? Before this occupation, before this Assyrian occupation, King Hezekiah prepared Jerusalem for the coming conquer. Okay? He knew that the Assyrians were coming to take over the Holy Land. That's why he built an extra wall around Jerusalem to surround also the western part of the city, or the new part of the city. The city started to spread towards the west because it couldn't spread towards east because there was the Kidron Valley to its east. That's why they used the eastern part for burial, and they spread towards west. Okay, he fortified that new part, and the main source of water, ladies and gentlemen, was outside the city. It's called the Gihon Spring. He needed that water in order to keep the city strong through the time of siege. This spring is right outside the wall that was built by King Solomon. Yeah. So he needed an active source of water in order to keep the city through the siege, and that's why he took the wall, the surrounding wall, into the eastern part of the city and surrounded the spring itself, and his people, not himself, dug a tunnel between this spring and a pool that was called the Shiloah pool, or the pool of Siloam. Okay? This tunnel, because he needed it protected, was dug, all of it, 513 meters were dug underground. They started digging from both sides and they met in the middle. And when they met, they carved an inscription on the wall, on the stone, that says that this was the project of the tunnel that was accomplished in the year so and so and stuff like this. This carved stone today is located in the Archaeology Museum of Istanbul in Turkey. Okay? Now, they met in the middle, and that's how, and all the tunnel was open, and that's how they brought the water of the Gihon through a tunnel into a pool that is located inside the city. And ladies and gentlemen, it was sealed. The pool was sealed in order to protect it fully. That's how people went through the tunnel and brought water when they are fully protected. This is the Hezekiah tunnel. Okay? Is it still in? Yeah. All the tunnel, and it's still full with water. When you walked there last time, I was there with a group, the water reached until the waist area. It depends on the amounts of rain that go down this year, that season, that specific season. No, that's the other part of the story. This was dug by Hezekiah, who came after David in 300 years, okay? But the Canaanites dug a tunnel in order to protect the water, but their tunnel was dry. They used it not to transfer water, but they used it in order to let the people walk in and reach the pool. They also dug a pool, which was much bigger than the pool of Siloam. Okay? The remains of this pool are dug today, are excavated today in the city of David. And it seems like this was one of the oldest water systems in the world. They dug a dry tunnel, the Canaanites dug a dry tunnel that led people from the city to the pool in order to pull water and go back protected to their houses. Okay? These tunnels, these two tunnels, the tunnel of Hezekiah and the Canaanite tunnel, are parallel to each other only for one part, because the tunnel of the Canaanites was much shorter than the tunnel of Hezekiah. The tunnel of Hezekiah, ladies and gentlemen, was 513 meters long, while the Canaanite tunnel was something around 200 meters long. That's why their pool is much closer to the Gihon than the pool of Siloam. Okay? Understood?
Yes.
Any questions? Okay. What do you think of the Bible, ladies and gentlemen? What? Okay. I do too. That's not the question.
The Bible is the Word of God. It is an accurate history.
Okay. You believe it's an accurate history. I believe that it is a book that was given to people in order to show them how to live. Okay? I don't believe in the accuracy because
if it is from God, it's accurate.
there are some facts that were excavated through the years that show that there are some problems if we want to take the stories in the Bible in accurate form. But do you remember the story of Cain and Abel, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
What does that story say?